Welcome, everyone. I'm Christine Valenza-Shin, class of '84 and executive director for Beyond Barnard. Beyond Barnard acts as the administrative liaison for the 4+1 pathways, as well as providing advising support to students. So I'm going to say a few words and then turn things over for the majority of the session to my wonderful colleagues at Columbia who work directly on the QMSS program and the Barnard 4+1 pathway specifically. So the 4+1 pathways at Barnard, one thing they all have in common is that, as I said, we play a liaison role. There is a Barnard faculty lead for each pathway, and then we have our partners over at Columbia for each of the various programs. And so one thing we often get a general question about is, who do I talk to when I have questions? So just to outline it briefly, Beyond Barnard is here at the sort of beginning to give advising support to students who have a general interest in the pathway and questions about how it might fit into their education plans in general and specifically into their career pathways, since that's one of our big wheelhouses here at Beyond Barnard. So we're a great place to start, and then very often students circle back to us in their junior year when they are ready to apply. And as we do with all graduate programs and fellowships, we provide advising support around helping you develop your application, make choices about who to ask for references, etc. In between, you can reach out to the Barnard faculty advisor for the pathway. Unfortunately, Professor Sharon Harrison is, well, not unfortunately for her, she's on leave this year. And we are still trying to find a faculty lead to step in for her. But in the meantime, academic questions, your specific questions about your major and how this would align with fitting in the 4+1 coursework in your senior year, those should go to your advisor, your major advisor, and in many cases, the chair of your major department can be helpful in that as well. And we'll be updating you as soon as we have a confirmed faculty lead who can give some additional perspective. And then finally, it's great to reach out to the Columbia folks in general about the QMSS program, some of the specifics about the offerings, about which subjects or pathways within their program might be a good fit for you, as well as when it does come down to the application, if you run into any logistical issues on applying or questions about that, they sort of manage that portal. So yeah, I think otherwise the thing that all of our 4+1 pathways have in common, there's a Barnard requirement that you have a 3.5 minimum GPA to apply. In order for us to, it's just one measure of if you're ready to start doing graduate work in your senior year at Barnard. And application fees are waived, as our standardized tests are waived. QMS in particular, I just want to say a few words. I love this pathway. I'm not supposed to have favorites, but it's probably my favorite, probably because as a history major, this is the one I probably would have been most interested in, to sort of add this amazing skill set to the sort of social science background. So there's been growing interest in the program, and we couldn't be more excited on our side of the street. And I know the Columbia folks are excited as well. So I'll stop talking, turn things over to Greg for their part of the presentation.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for that very, very warm introduction. And as Christine said, we are as happy this arrangement is working as the Beyond Barnard folks are as well. My name is Greg Ark. I'm the director of QMSS, the Quantitative Methods in the Social Sciences Master's Program here at Columbia. We'll walk you through briefly sort of some of the big things you should be thinking about with regard to the program in general, and then with regard to the particular logistics and considerations for the BA-MA or the 4+1 part of the program as well. Before I get too deep into that, though, I wanted to make sure I had a chance for everyone on our team to introduce themselves. So Elena and Rachel, if you wanted to introduce yourselves as well, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. My name is Elena Krumova. I am the assistant director here at QMSS. I've been with the program for several years. I've been talking to a lot of students, and I'm glad to be here today.
Good morning, or good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rachel Raven-Chabin. I am the program coordinator for QMSS, which means I am usually your first point of contact if you have a question about the program. If you are one of our students and you need help finding resources on campus, and I manage a lot of the logistics for the program. So as you get to know the program better, you will probably be seeing a lot of emails from me.
All right, and you'll be hearing from Rachel and Elena throughout the time we're going to be talking as well. Well, let me say first off, thank you so much for taking time to hear about us today. Again, we've been really lucky that a number of BA/MA students, 4+1 students, have joined us from Barnard and also from Columbia College and from the School of General Studies. And we have been really blown away at the caliber of those students. And so we would love for as many of you to apply as who are interested. And if it seems like it's a good fit, then we should absolutely sort of continue to develop this relationship, as you look to apply. So in terms of what I'd like to just kind of do as an overview, first of all, I'd like to give you a little bit of an overview of QMSS in general, sort of what the program is like and what to expect in it in any capacity. And then, we can sort of turn to the specifics of you all. So in terms of the program in general, we've been around for a long time. We are applied statistics, social science and data science master's program. We were founded in 1999. And so we're coming on almost 25 years of working with students. And we've been incredibly fortunate to have a chance to develop a curriculum that really draws on the best of the social sciences. So methodologies from economics, political science, sociology, psychology, statistics, history. And we're able to sort of distill that down into a curriculum that allows you to sort of really advance your methodological kind of state of affairs and your skill set, and to develop a portfolio of solutions to a variety of problems that you might face in any number of fields or sectors. And so we aim to really make the program flexible and oriented towards what you'd like to get out of it. And so I've seen hundreds of students at this point who've gone through the program, and they come from a variety of backgrounds. So they can come from almost any major you can think of. They can come from any number of places around the world. And they want to do a variety of things in QMSS. And so they can look to do things. And they can look to do a variety of things while they're here. And so some students would like to use the program as a chance to continue on studies, potentially looking to get a PhD in something when they are done, and they use this as a chance to gain more quantitative training. A number of other folks look to use this as a way to develop data for good skills that they can put to work in any number of fields. We're very fortunate to have many alums who work at the United Nations, work at the World Bank, work at the city of New York in government, in a variety of ministries around the world. We also have a good number of folks who work at, say, Doctors Without Borders. I was just talking with a whole group of students who are actually alums who are there. So any number of places like that are possible in the nonprofit and governmental sector. And then a large number of students go on to want to do things in industry. And so whether that's in finance, or whether that's in consulting or marketing or advertising or tech or any number of other fields like that, we have students who've gone on to work in those fields as well. And so there's a lot you can do with this degree, and our goal is to help you get where you want to get to. And so in terms of how we look to do that, there's a few things that we try and do. So we have a variety of classes that you'll be expected to take that are a small amount of a core group of classes that we'll get kind of everybody on the same page, given we're coming from all different places to start with. And so those will be courses in things like data analysis, quantitative theory methodology, research seminar, ultimately writing a thesis. And I think Elena can talk more about that maybe in a few minutes. She's the instructor for that course in general. In addition to all that, there's a lot of electives that we offer that might be of interest to you. So those are everything from courses in time series and forecasting, geographic information systems, in modern data structures, machine learning, natural language processing, applied data science, data visualization, social network analysis. I could go on and on. Practicum and large-scale data analysis. We have a number of courses that advance machine learning. We have a lot of courses that are designed for students who are like the students that come to QMSS and really allow them to develop their skills, to practice things, to have a portfolio of projects that they get from the end of it. And so we spend a lot of time, developing courses that are a good fit for our students. Beyond that, you're welcome to take courses around the university. We have a lot of students who take courses in a variety of schools and departments. So in courses in political science, statistics, economics, the business school, school of public health, school of education, and so and international public affairs. So a variety of different places where students can take courses, and we advise students closely with regard to that. In any given year, students will take 150 or so courses around the university. So folks get exposure to a lot of different methods around Columbia. And so those are some of the sort of building blocks for your experience in the program. There's a number of other things that we really work to do, which is develop a sense of community. Over the summer, even in advance of joining the program, students will be connected with each other in a variety of ways through, we have meetups on Zoom before people come to campus. We have ways for students to communicate with each other in a variety of kind of informal ways. And so we're really, really lucky to have students who are really motivated and interested in getting to know each other, to collaborate with each other. We're an interdisciplinary program, so folks are really looking to learn from other people's perspectives. It's sort of built in to what we try and do. And so there's a lot of ways to sort of connect. And the students, as I said, are really a fantastic resource for each other. We're really lucky to have amazing students to select from, to bring into the cohort. And we really work to sort of have you get to know each other in a variety of different ways. And so I should say that that's as true for the BA MA students or the 4+1 students as it is for the MA students in general. There's almost no distinction. Folks are very happy. We have folks who are coming from a variety of perspectives, a variety of histories. And so everyone is sort of really able to contribute uniquely to the experience of the cohort as a whole. So, we've been very lucky to have, students who are BA MA students that sort of fit right in with regard to that and stand out as well. And so absolutely can look to be joining into everything that we're offering here as well. I could go on and on. There's a lot of other things that QMSS has to offer, some of which you're sort of aware of as being around Columbia and Barnard as well, in terms of all the resources and the libraries, in terms of the events, in terms of the workshops, in terms of the lectures, all sorts of things like that. We have some things that are unique for us in terms of having programs that are designed for students to get exposure to using these techniques in real kind of context. So we have a large research assistant program, which students are able to try and take part in. We have dozens and dozens of RA program opportunities with faculty here at Columbia and at Barnard who will be working on research, and you get to work side by side with them. Those are paid opportunities. In addition, we support folks who might want to do internships for credit along the way. In addition, we have a practicum course, which is in large-scale data analysis that's designed to work with research partners who are external to Columbia. So we work with United Nations, the Census Bureau, Priceline, KPMG Consulting, IBM, Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, and many, many more on projects that are of interest to those organizations, and our students sort of contribute to them and are able to develop a portfolio of answers to those big kind of questions that those research partners have. So lots and lots of ways to sort of connect that way. Let me take a second. I might ask Rachel and Elena if you wanted to add anything in terms of the overall set of things that QMSS offers that you might want to make sure we highlight at this point before we sort of transition to talking about the BAMA in particular.
No, this is a great overview. Yeah, keep going.
Okay. Anything on your end, Rachel?
No, I think I would just sort of re-emphasize what you were talking about in terms of the research assistant opportunities and teaching assistant opportunities. They're unfortunately not available to every student in our program. We wish they were. There are just not enough vacancies for that. But we have a very solid turnout of QMSS students involved in these opportunities every semester. And I'd say it's probably one of the highlights of the program, beyond the academics itself, is that there are lots of opportunities to explore your own research interests, to help in classes that you have done well in, to tutor other students. There's a lot of enrichment possibility there. And that's definitely something you should consider as you consider QMSS.
Great. So let me give you a little bit of the particular context for you all. And so let me say, first off, in terms of consultation, what Christine said was fantastic in terms of you should, obviously utilize Beyond Barnard as a resource for you at whatever stage is appropriate, and they do an amazing job of advising. So talking with them in general and in particular is great. As she mentioned as well, you should obviously start to sort of make sure that your your Barnard kind of plan or course of study will fit into the QMSS one. And so you want to make sure in terms of making progress against your majors and minors and so on, that all makes sense. And so you should talk with your undergraduate advisors there. Even if you don't have a liaison on the Barnard side at the moment because Sharon's out, you should still absolutely coordinate, any questions you have about how you're going to time this on that side. In terms of consultation with us, this setting is really should constitute a consultation session. So if you are listening to this, or if you're taking part in this, and this largely answers the questions you have, fantastic, you're good to go. To the degree which you have particular questions, you're welcome to start, emailing us. Email us at qmss@columbia.edu. At qmss@columbia.edu is the best way to reach us in terms of any other residual issues or questions you might have that are particular. But if you're feeling like you're getting a sense of the program and it adds up and it makes sense for you, and you've consulted the folks on the Barnard side, then this video is perfect for a consultation. This is kind of what we would tell you if we saw you in person. And so this is, I think, the best way to sort of start with. So you're good to go there. Check that box in terms of a consultation if you've been listening to this. In terms of other things to keep in mind then, as you think about this degree, there's sort of a couple of situations you should be aware of, right? So if you are, a freshman or a sophomore, this is great background knowledge, but you don't have to do anything right quite yet. You're welcome to just sort of have this as information you use as you choose classes on your at Barnard, and as you kind of plan a trajectory moving forward. We'd be, very excited if you're already thinking that far ahead, but there's nothing you have to do in particular. If you're a junior, you should be thinking about applying then in your senior year, and that's totally a good option. In which case, then the thing for you to keep in mind is the deadline for that. And the deadline for that is going to be the same deadline that we have for all students who are looking to, join us in any way, shape, or form in the fall of 2024. And so that deadline is going to be January 18th, 2024. Okay, so that's the deadline we'll want to see from juniors who are looking to apply to QMSS and begin being able to take some coursework as seniors. So that's one deadline date you should be thinking of if you're a junior. If you are currently a senior in your first semester of your senior year, we have a different deadline for you, right? So your deadline's coming up a bit sooner. Your deadline would be November 16th, 2023. So about a month from now, a little less. And so if you're in that situation, you're going to want to apply then so that we can give you an answer by no later than December 17th of this year. And so what that'll allow you to do is to be joining the program with enough time to start planning courses for your spring semester, your final semester at Barnard, so that you can start adding courses that will be transferable over to us. Okay, so if you're a junior, you're going to be looking at worrying about this and applying for January 18th, 2024. If you're a senior in your first semester, then you're going to want to look for getting this in by November 16th of this year, and we'll let you know in about a month from there. So those are the kind of big deadlines to keep in mind, and we'll put them in the chat for you. And also you can, we'll direct you to the website for us as well that has those dates delineated. So that's the sort of things to be aiming for. In terms of some of the specifics around, how this program works for you, a couple of things to keep in mind. One is what you're able to do as a Barnard BA/MA student or as a 4+1 student is you're able to bring over up to 1/4 of all the kind of credits that you would need to complete the program. And so that would mean that potentially, if you had enough courses that you could bring over, which is typically around 3 courses, 3 graduate level courses, if you could bring those over, then you would be able to have 1/4 less tuition that you would be expected to pay. Okay, and so that's one of the benefits of the program is you could potentially have less tuition that you'd be responsible for if you were able to complete some graduate courses as an undergraduate at Barnard before coming to Columbia. And we can assist with that kind of process, but you should be thinking about if you wanted to take full advantage of this, then you would need to have 3 courses that you're taking at Barnard that you don't need to count towards Barnard, and instead you want to count them towards QMSS. And so that's the logic there. Again, we can definitely, as you get closer to that point in time, we can obviously advise you in terms of which courses might be good ones to start with. But in general, any graduate level course or 4,000 level and above course that you don't need for your undergrad could potentially count. And so then with that, you would be in a position to, have only 3/4 of the degree left to complete. And so, you could work out how that might go for you. There's a few different arrangements that might be in terms of how many courses you would take upon entering QMSS as a full-time graduate student, an MA student, once you finally transition over, and whether or not, how many you want to do in the fall of one year versus the spring of the other year. In general, you'd be in a great position to sort of have seamless transitioning from one degree to the other. You wouldn't, you'd still be around Columbia. You'd still be able to sort of have access to a lot of the same resources and professors and clubs and experiences that you have already come to know, which is another great benefit of the program. And then in addition, you're in a position really to sort of strategically think about the classes you want to do that will really advance you to the place you want to get to. And so maybe that means you want to try and aim to take an internship in one semester or another. We can help advise with regard to that. If you want to sort of push in a direction that you weren't able to do as an undergraduate, we can help you with that. So that's sort of the synergies that come with the BA/MA, is that you really get to sort of complement your previous experience and sort of time it out and have more time to sort of plan for your career. And we're there to help with that for sure. Okay, let me pause there for a second. Again, Rachel and Elena, in terms of some things that we might want to emphasize with the BA/MA process, go for it.
Yeah, I think we are often receiving this question of whether people should consult us before applying. And the answer to this is start with the Barnard, Beyond Barnard program and, consulting with them. And then if you've been to this open house, this is, considered a consultation. And you can, be done. But if you still have questions, of course, you can email us at QMSS@Columbia.
Anything you would emphasize, Rachel?
I think this is pretty thorough.
Okay. Okay. Those are some of the big elements that we wanted to get across, and sort of the main things you're going to be on the lookout for. One thing we can just talk about briefly, I think, is in terms of the application process. A few things that Christine mentioned, but it's probably worth mentioning again, right? So In terms of your application, you're going to, apply through the GSAS application portal. You're going to be on the lookout for a BA MA option. Again, this is on our website and you see it there, but you can also be conscious of it. With that application, there's a few different elements that you'd want to be thinking about, right? So one is this question of sort of the application fee. We have to enable that on the website, and it's not automatic, and so that's still a work in progress to get that going. So if you don't see that quite there yet, we're working on that. So don't submit your application yet, but you're welcome to kind of hold on to that and come back to it as we update the website around the application. As was also mentioned, there's no expectation that you will take GREs or you don't have to take GREs if you don't like to for this option. If for some reason you would find it be helpful to give us that perspective, give us that additional data point, you're welcome to do so. If it's valuable for other things you're doing, feel free, but we're not expecting it and we're not holding it against anyone if they don't have it. It could only really help you if you provide us that information, but it won't in any way be something we expect to see from anyone. So don't need to worry about that. And then in terms of the other things we're looking out for, right? I'd say the biggest thing is the personal statement. Okay, so we're really looking to get to know you. As I said before, we have folks who are coming from all over the place in different ways, different points in their lives, and we really want to be able to sort of see sort of where you've been, right? Where you are now, and where you want to go. Right. And so we want you to give us a sense of that in terms of where you've been, what's been your previous experience, why are you feeling sort of ready and desiring to do this, kind of what you're doing currently in your kind of your student career and beyond. And then what do you want to do with a QMSS degree? Where would you like to go? Obviously, you don't have to know for sure. Part of the point of the program is for you to discover that and experience and get to know others and see what other options are out there. But at the same time, we want you to give us some sense of kind of who you are, right? And what motivates you to want to do the program. And so we absolutely would love to see you give us a sense of that, and that we can, we will take really seriously as we read through everybody's applications and get to know you in that way. So that's sort of one big thing to keep in mind. Perhaps, I don't know if Rachel, you want to talk to maybe some of the other features like the recommendations, things like that.
Yeah, so I think this year there's a new second essay that you will have to submit as well. It's probably about a page long, and the prompt will be there in the application when you submit it, but I was looking for the exact wording of the prompt. I can't quite find it, but it is in general something along the lines of think about your personal background and how you will contribute to the program given your personal experience. So this is less about academic journey and career orientation, which is what the personal statement that Greg just talked about is. This is more about how you will contribute to the diversity of the program, of the cohort of students who will be coming in, given your experiences and your background. So this is a new kind of thing that we have this year. The personal statement, as Greg mentioned, is super important, and then recommendation letters from people that you worked with. So I think sometimes we get the question of who should I reach out to for my recommenders? And the answer to that is people that know you best, regardless of how big a name they are, right? So don't always necessarily reach to the person who you think who is the most famous, but the person that can really speak to the details of your, time at Barnard, whether that was a research project you were part of, whether that was a class that you performed really well in and had conversations with that instructor in their office hours and they can speak to your strengths. So these are the kinds of recommendations that leave a real impression later on, that are really specific about about you. So I think these are the most important things in terms of the application. As Greg mentioned, the jury is not mandatory, but if you have high scores, certainly let us know about that. And what else? That's pretty much it. That's what we require.
Could I ask
Rachel, anything that you'd add? I'm sorry, Christine. Yes.
just one quick question on what Elena just said. Total number of recommendations is 2 or 3?
3.
And you mentioned faculty recommendations. Is it also possible for at least one of them to be from a professional setting where they might have done an internship?
So yes, great question. Columbia has a requirement that at least 2 be from faculty members, and then of course 1 can be, or you can submit more than 3. You can submit 4 recommendation letters if you have more professional experiences or more faculty that you want to highlight as having, worked with you or know you well.
Great question, though. Yeah. Rachel, anything you would add as we go through this? Anything come to mind?
Yeah, I would like to emphasize that when it comes to choosing your recommenders and when it comes to the way you're going to focus your statement of purpose, I think it's just important to keep in mind that this is an interdisciplinary program, as we've already said. We have professors from political science, sociology. We have overlap in statistics, economics. That's sort of definitional to this program, which means that we're not looking for one correct answer. I hope no programs are, but especially us. We're not looking for one correct answer for what do you want out of this degree and what do you want to do here. I think it's really worth considering the different aspects of this program and how you can sort of personalize it to your own, to your own academic interests. This might be a little bit too in the weeds right now, but it's also relevant to the different focuses that we offer when you're getting your master's degree here. There's several different options. And so we're not looking for you to say, I want to be a statistician. I definitely want to work in sociological research. That's great if that's the case. But the point of this program is to offer a good variety. So feel free to, consider your options, be kind of circumspect, and just be honest about what you want out of this program.
No, those are great things to emphasize, for sure. Exactly. I said, we really do love the diversity of the program in terms of people's interests and backgrounds. And so, we're not looking for any given sort of background to be prominent. So if you have a recommendation from someone who's from a field, I think somebody mentioned something like, maybe a language or something like that. That's, fantastic. It shows that you're able to learn and able to be a high caliber student. Those are things that are really helpful for us to know. And so if that's where your experience has really shined, then that makes total sense from our perspective for you to include those as recommenders. So as Elena mentioned, there will be a kind of statement of purpose, which is sort of what we've historically looked at as sort of a sense of what you're looking to get out of the program. And now there's an additional chance for you to express yourself further with another prompt that is sort of new to this year's process. And so you should feel free to, again, give us as much information as you can, as much sort of relevant kind of data to go on that really gives us a sense of who you are. We want to get to know you, and we want to be able to sort of evaluate you in your totality. So please give us all the information you feel comfortable giving us in that regard. A couple of other points I think that came in through the chat a little bit. One question was, again, just about the mechanics of this. And so if you're thinking about how much room do you have in your Barnard career that you might be able to have additional courses you don't need for Barnard and that you could devote and transfer over to GSAS, the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, That's typically going to be somewhere on the order of 3 courses or 12 credits, up to 12 credits or up to 3 courses. That's sort of the maximum you'd be able to really transfer over. So when you think about it in that regard. And so there might be a handful of courses that you'll be able to have over your senior year where you don't need them for Barnard, and then you can try and have them be ones that can count for your QMSS degree. And so that's one thing to keep in mind. Let's see, in addition, I think there was a question about sort of how selective the program is. So in general, I have to say, I'm not going to get into specific numbers, but in terms of it, we have lots and lots of applicants, but at the same time, as I said, we've been very lucky to have really high quality applicants. And so we, from the BA MA program from Barnard, from other colleges at Columbia. And so, we're really sort of happy to take a large percentage of them if it makes sense. And so, I would encourage you to apply if you're interested. And, we obviously have the nature of this BIMA is to sort of really have a lot of continuity in terms of your process of applying and so on. So, I would feel free to take that as a serious possibility of you being able to be accepted for sure. Okay. I think we're actually at the point where we can kind of talk through any other questions you might have. So I know some have been coming in through the chat, but we're happy to take more as we sort of move forward. We want to be respectful of your time. So, we'll take a handful of questions. And then obviously if some of them are quite particular, you can follow up with us at qmss@columbia.edu for particular questions you might have. So let's see. In terms of the timeline, if you apply as a junior and you're applying then in January 18th, 2024 as your deadline to apply, you'll likely hear in, it varies a little bit. We have a lot of applications for the whole of the cohort, and we do want to sort of make sure we sort of read everybody's at sort of at one time. So it'll be a month and a half before you'd hear back. So you'd have some time, but it would be well before, you'd sort of wrap up your semester as a junior as well. So you'd have plenty of time in terms of planning for the senior year and what might lie ahead. So we're looking at a month and a half, 2 months as sort of a typical timeline after January deadline. Other questions?
There's one more question in the chat.
Okay.
Should we reach out to someone for a recommendation letter, even if they're in a different subject that we want to pursue? I want to study psychology, but I know my Spanish professor well.
Yeah. Elena, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I think to some degree we address that. I think, the person who knows you best is going to be your best recommender. So on the other hand, you are not only limited to 3 recommendation letters. If you want to show that you did really, really well in a class, that you're a good performer and your Spanish instructor was, a great person that can give you a recommendation, great. But you can also reach out to a professor who is more in the social sciences, and if you think that somebody like that can give you a good recommendation, that could be helpful as well. But it really comes down to who knows you best.
Right. So one thing that that's useful to keep in mind is, again, obviously the one thing that we do want to be conscious of, with regard to the program, is we're a quantitative program, right? And so we want you to be interested and excited to work with numerical kind of methods and data and so on. We obviously have a humanistic behavioral science historical kind of understanding, and so we're not looking for everyone to be the same, but it would be unavoidable that you'd be running into a bunch of numbers and methods around that while you're here. And so that's just honestly something for you to think about, right? So we want you to be sort of conscious of it. We're very proud of not really setting up barriers to entry with regard to the program. And so as long as you want to learn things quantitatively, then we're very happy to teach you. And so we have students who come in with no coding background, limited exposure to statistics and things like that, and yet still do great. So that's not a problem. But for your own sake, obviously, we want to make sure that you're going to enjoy learning about those things, right? And so, anything that you can do along your undergraduate career to sort of make yourself more aware of how much you like doing that, that's great. So whatever classes you take or whatever experiences you have, your internships or whatever, if it sort of looks like it aligns with what you'd be expected to do in QMSS, all the better. But as I said, it's not anything that you have to kind of prepare for or specifically take courses in or anything like that. You should pursue what you're interested in, and just use, those courses as a chance to kind of observe for yourself what you want to do. And hopefully, that will give you a sense of what QMSS can offer. But as I said, again, we're really not trying to make cookie cutter people. We're not trying to take in cookie cutter people and produce them in a given way. We really want people to kind of have their personality shine through with the work that they do. You're certainly welcome to have, again, recommendations that come from, if you were studying abroad, you can certainly use the experiences of other academics as well, not a problem at all. And so again, there's no courses we're going to look for in particular. So as you plan out your time of study at Barnard, really that should be driven off of what your majors and minors are, and your, the taking full advantage of what Barnard has to offer. And that will largely sort of set you up to be well for QMSS courses. Once you get to the point where you have courses you want to carry over to QMSS, it makes sense for some of them to be QMSS courses or sort of equivalent ones around the university that are similar in style to what QMSS offers. So once you get to that point, we can certainly advise you. Okay. In terms of anything that you want to let us know about, you certainly can convey that through your sort of essays. You're reading those with a lot of care and depth. And so anything that you'd like to use to contextualize your transcripts or contextualize your experience at Barnard or anything like that, please let us know. That's what it's there for. And we'll take that all into consideration for sure. So use that space to do that in terms of where you've been and how you've gotten to where you are. Absolutely talk about anything along those lines. One other thing I'd just like to highlight is if you're an international student and you're looking to apply the BA/MA program, one thing to keep in mind is that while you're at QMSS, under most circumstances, you'll be a full-time student. And so you'll be looking to take a full-time course load in the fall and in the spring of your time at QMSS. And so you can carry over courses just, from Barnard to QMSS, but you'll likely be expected to have full-time status your whole time at QMSS, and that's just the nature of how international students are expected to be at Grad School of Arts and Sciences. So what that means is that if you take additional courses, you can take even more courses while you're at QMSS. So you can be very, you're welcome to kind of add on top of even what you would have been able to do if you didn't have those Barnard courses. But just something to keep in mind as you sort of plan out, what your fall and spring would look like. For international students, you would be full-time as a student both times. If you're not an international student, then you might potentially be able to be sort of part-time for one semester or another, along with being full-time for another part, if you're able to carry over a bunch of courses. So again, everybody's unique in terms of their experiences, and we would advise you with regard to that. But just something in general to be aware of, that there is a little bit of a difference between being an international student and not.
Can I just interject there?
Yeah, sure.
I also just wanted to mention that, especially since most of you or many of you will want or need to be full-time in this program, although it's not required if you're not an international student. The QMSS curriculum includes, of course, a number of required classes that we offer through our department. It is possible to complete the entire degree just by taking classes from QMSS, but we're very flexible with allowing elective credit from related departments like political science, economics, sociology, statistics, computer science, as long as those classes are taken at the graduate level, so the 4,000 level or above. We tend to have a lot of flexibility with counting that and allowing you to integrate that into part of your program. So that's just something to keep in mind, that you don't have to be siloed off only into our classes, although you're welcome to, and we offer an excellent variety. But you should have the opportunity, if you do this program, to get to explore a lot of your academic interests.
So just to clarify, Rachel, you're talking about the same thing Greg was, is that once you're at QMSS in the 5th year as a full-time Columbia student, that's the opportunity to be able to take some courses from.
Yes, exactly right.
Excellent. Okay, good.
And I think I'm not seeing too many new questions in the chat.
There's one more.
One more. So in terms of the differences between other grad school programs offered at Columbia and the BIMA program in terms of learning experience, I can't speak to other programs, but in terms of ours, as I said, it's pretty seamless. Often I don't even know exactly when somebody switches from being a BIMA student to being a full-time MA student, you know, in terms of like having them in class and things. And so in terms of doing group projects, in terms of, you know, what the expectations are, in terms of advising, you know, you're going to get the same exact level of treatment. So from our perspective, you know, that they're highly integrated together. In terms of other ones, you'll definitely, you know, feel free to check out, feel free to talk to Beyond Barnard about those other ones. But for ours, that's how it works for sure.
Yeah, we really don't know who, once people are in the program, we really don't know who is a BAMA student and who is not.
As I said, we usually
yeah.
said folks are doing fantastic. So
I mean, we do know,
we have
but
no
not
reason
in the
to,
sense
we have no
of
reason to think any different for sure.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think we kept you almost for 45, 50 minutes. So I'm happy to, oh yeah, Christine, yeah.
I just want to clarify 2 things that sort of popped to mind as I listened to you all, and thank you so much for all this information. I do just want to reiterate one more time for the students that the 3 to 9 credits that you take in your Barnard senior year that you then later want to transfer and to have accepted over at QMSS, they cannot count towards anything at Barnard. They can't count towards your major, your minor, or your general requirements. They can't count as any of the 121, 122 credits you need to graduate from Barnard. So just want to be very clear, there's some confusion on that, and there are, one of the things I was going to say at the beginning is the pathways are different and the rules at different schools such as C's and SEPA, et cetera, can be different. So just just make sure you're aware of that in your planning. And then I just wanted to ask you all, one thing that does come up is when students are accepted into the pathway and they're in their senior year at Barnard, how does and actually it kind of comes up a little earlier, how do they register for QMSS classes? Are most of them open that they're able to just register through the Barnard process, or do they need to have special permissions from you? What's the mechanics of that?
Right, Rachel, you might be able to speak to this through the through the wait list.
This is a lot of my job, yeah. So once you've joined the program, let me back that up. Basically, the way registration works for all QMSS classes, regardless of whether or not you're a 4+1 student, is that you will add the classes to you will add your name to the wait list for a class during registration. And we manually add all students from the wait list into the roster. We do that to make sure that we can prioritize seats in the classes for QMSS students. And only afterwards do we open it up for anybody else in the university who is interested. This goes for both required classes, for electives. This is the process we have for all of that. So once you are admitted into the BAMA program, even if a class is marked as QMSS students only, you count as part of that, you're part of the program, and we will give you the same priority into those classes that we would regular master's students. If you are interested, if you're not ready to apply yet and you're trying to enroll in a QMSS class before you join the program, that's still possible, but we won't be able to give you the same priority because you haven't technically joined us yet. So if you're interested in that, you should still absolutely add yourself to the waitlist for those classes, and we will do our best to enroll you, but we can't make any guarantees until you are a member of the program.
And just one quick follow-up on the timing of that. When do you actually do the manual adding so that they...
Excellent question. We add people once or twice a day during the registration period, and it takes 24 to 48 hours to see that reflected on your schedule as a student. So if you are already in the QMSS program, you should see that about 24 to 48 hours after you have put yourself on the wait list. If you are not yet, You'll have to wait longer because we need to ensure seats for all of the students in our program, but you shouldn't count yourself out.
Excellent. So by the time they leave spring of junior year, they'll be enrolled and they'll sort of know what they're taking for the fall.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I asked because that's again another difference. Some of the pathways they don't actually get officially registered until August, so which always makes people a little nervous, although it all works out in the end. So that's great to know.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're doing all of this manually, and we will have the list of those of you who have made it into the BAMA program. We'll see you on the list. We'll make sure you're added.
Excellent.
So maybe I'll just say one final word and then we'll let these folks go. So I just wanted to thank you, Christine and Beyond Barnard for arranging this. Thank you everybody for taking the time to learn more about the program. As I said, we're really proud of what we've been able to offer folks. And so we've been really lucky to have amazing students like yourselves be interested. And so to whatever degree you feel like, there's something here where you might want to pursue it, then please, push it forward. We are here to kind of, give you advice, give you direction if you need it. But with this kind of overview, if it fits your sort of profile and your goals, then feel free to apply for sure. We'd love to read your application. We'd love to get to know you better. And we just wish you luck as you sort of move through the process, and just keep in touch if you want anything more from us, and we'll be around. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thanks everybody for attending, and email us at Beyond Barnard if you have any questions following the session.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.